Hi, welcome everybody. It's Penny again, and today I am another soul sister from my heart is the beautiful Irena Barton. And Irena, weirdly enough, is half in Scotland, half in Bulgaria. So I'm Scottish, you may have noticed that. But Irena, I'd like to move to you. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into EFT?
I married a Scotsman. That's how I'm in Scotland. But mainly we lived in Bulgaria, and my background is from banking, could you believe? But that led me to EFT because I was horribly stressed. And I was looking for something that would really work, an effective method that would calm my deep emotionality. And when I'm talking about emotional person, I'm like this. And there are people who are, in between. So you know me. So I've tried many other modalities. I've tried Reiki. I've tried Silver Method. I also did autogenic training. I don't know how this is called in English, but it's sort of a self-suggestion.
Okay.
None of these worked, but when I tried EFT, and I studied it from a book, and it's complicated to follow the prescription of a book how to do EFT because you try to navigate your body, tap the correct point. So I didn't do it correctly, probably, and yet it still worked. And I thought, oh gosh. And it was a longer weekend, so I did some additional tapping. And honestly, I felt different. And I thought, I really must learn more about it. So the next working day, I ordered Gary Craig's DVDs. And they arrived very, very quickly. At the time in Bulgaria, we were with my husband. And he was such a absolutely mesmerizing teacher. Uh, and we watched them with David, my husband, my late husband, and we loved him. And it was, we were about to go to Edinburgh because he was from Edinburgh. And I thought, well, we're going to Britain. Why not go to an EFT course? At the time, Gary was no longer teaching live. So this is how we ended up at Carl Dawson, one of the EFT masters. And I knew that he did Matrix, but I was so enthused about EFT, and I didn't take it seriously at the time. And this is, let's say, this is in June. Uh, we saw and experienced with my husband, both two of us, experienced some most incredible things on this course, including seeing how Matrix worked. So a couple of months later, we went to Brighton, where we met you, and Carl had a whole bunch of people around him, the older Matrix. I'm talking about 2009. And I remember you, and I had some phenomenal experiences, some of it very difficult to explain. I had a mystical experience. I couldn't speak about it for many years. I didn't know what exactly it was. I later named it this way. But my first experience with the Matrix was about, let's say, 2 hours within the training. Do you remember that Jill Edwards attended this seminar?
Yeah.
So this is the first practice we have to do with the Matrix. Uh, Carl had just shown us how to do scene reimprinting and sent us a couple of hours into the training to go and practice. Nowadays, he gives us a little more time. So it was, 3 days EFT and 2 days Matrix. So people knew each other and they paired very quickly. And my husband went to work with someone, and there was only one left. And who that was, I didn't know, but that was Jill Edwards. I was Bulgarian, I didn't know who she was. So here we are with a supervisor by our side, helping me to take her to a into the Matrix scenes. And she was going from, some normal complaint of whatever it was. And she was, you know, how Matrix takes you into the past. And she would go to the teenage years, then to, let's say, 5-year-old. And all of a sudden she says, I'm a baby sitting in a chair, and I'm probably between 1 and 2 years old. And my jaw drops. I'm speechless. And I, I don't know, you know, I have this mind chatter saying, no, no, this is not possible. Thank goodness there is someone next to me, a supervisor, who can see that I'm struggling to find the words to navigate the client, how to talk to a 18 months old echo, because you know that this you have to adjust the way you speak to the age of the echo to understand, to the way an echo would understand.
Yes.
And my mind was saying, this is not possible. And at the same time, I'm processing the information from her. And she obviously, on her mind's eye, she's looking and seeing and saying, within seconds, she says, oh, I haven't seen our living room for a while. I can now remember the sofa. Uh, and she's obviously in there. And I didn't think it is possible to remember consciously
Yes.
things from, you know, pre-verbal age. And of course, nowadays, it's quite normal. I now understand that it's not only possible, but you know, people have this implicit memory from the sensory input that comes from all the senses, but they didn't have at the time the content, the verbal or the intellectual understanding to put this into verbal content. With contemporary mind that is developed, they can now interpret the sensory input and the sensations, the feelings, the images, the all the things that they can now remember from the time, even from the womb and before. It
I
was
think
very
that,
interesting.
yeah, I think that's so key, isn't it? Because I remember when I first started training in EFT, one of Gary Craig's slides was, well, we come into the world as a baby without any problems or issues. Now we're so aware. He changed that very quickly. But now, when we go back and we can see that actually we know that the egg of that baby is in the grandmother's body.
Yeah,
And so
that's
we pick up
amazing.
there, and science is actually validating everything that a lot of what the holistic community have been talking about for quite a long time.
Yes, you probably know these books that are talking that not everything begins with you. This is one book. And in Bulgarian, there is a book that's been translated from a French lady. She's a psychotherapist. And it is the syndrome of the ancestors, where what I love in her book is asking the right questions because of all these synchronicities between inside an ancestral line, how we follow the model or how we have this invisible loyalty to a parent usually, or even a member of the family that is not being talked about. So when I speak about, I did a lot of matrix reimprinting demos while I was in Bulgaria. And even nowadays, I do a lot of Facebook Lives and explain or share my experience with clients or with students. And I compare matrix to, you know, imagine what would happen if you combine the power of the meditation, because everyone knows what meditation is or has an idea, with the magic of EFT, because EFT really works like magic. It looks like magic. Although you and I know that it never is that easy, but sometimes it really looks like magic. And so imagine you have this combination between meditation and EFT magic, and you are able to change ancestral patterns, or you are able to help do things that you were not able to do but wanted to in the past, or remedy a situation, or just change the things inside your subconscious mind where all the stories are held, and they rule you from your subconscious mind without you realizing that there is someone behind you, someone who's actually pulling your strings.
Yeah.
Uh, and my call to people is, if your subconscious mind is ruling 95, even more percent of your daily activity, would you not want to know, or to, to have control on your subconscious mind, or the models that are in there? That's, I
Simply
think
to
this is a real
understand what's going
question.
on. Bring
Or
that
to
into
understand what's going on. For example, uh, I help people deal with some irrational behaviors. When they come and complain, it's usually about, some ceilings, glass ceiling that they have hit, or some um, uh, position that they can't break through from it, or that they know that they deserve more. I am an abundance expert. Let's put it like this. This is the subject of my book, and the subconscious mind, and how to remove the blockages from there to have more abundance. So when they come, they say, I have this mysterious behavior, or this absolutely, I know that I shouldn't behave like this. I know that it should be better, or my life, I deserve more. I just don't know. I end up doing the same old things, or I just don't know what else to do. I'm really stuck.
yeah.
So, and even when they come to me, I don't know how this is going to develop, or even I don't know whether I would be able to help them,
Yeah.
to be honest. But the moment we start the tapping, or the moment we connect to this, uh, the language, the echo, or when we connect to that part of us that is holding the pain, or that's holding the unworking model, the past model that is no longer serving us, and we can get our power back, and we can, unravel the picture that is no longer serving them, but is still staying in their subconscious mind.
Yeah. And oh gosh, I could speak to you for hours, but I want to ask a question, darling, because you started saying at the beginning that you were in finance, and
Yeah.
there is this myth, and I call it a myth, that this work, or the beautiful energy work that we're doing, is not for corporate people. How how would
I
you?
know. I know, and that's the strange thing. Um, I'm a banker. My parents are economists, both of them. So it's logical thinking. 2 + 2 must make 4. My sister is a mathematician. So I come from a very logical family. I didn't recognize how skeptical I am. I thought I was open-minded. And yet, on my first course, David, as you know, David is a banker as well. So we were won by Gary, and Gary Craig was a financist himself,
Yeah,
and he spoke this rational language. He spoke to our skepticism, and he answered all our questions in a way that was inspirational. For me personally, Gary was a great teacher, and I'm really proud that I managed to graduate, from his uh, certification process, and I have his Cert 1, EFT Cert 1 from Gary. It's behind me over there. Gary was logical. He was skeptical. He was at the same time very spiritual, and he just sounded very much down to the ground, a normal human being. So I know that my colleagues at the bank were looking at me really strangely because, as you know, EFT looks, mildly speaking, strangely, if not crazy. To, you know, doing the tapping and also the rolling of, because at the time it was the long recipe with the rolling of the eyes and doing all the nine strange things. And they were giggling with me, but I managed somehow to convince one of my colleagues to do tapping, just to show her tapping. And later on, she said that I helped her quit smoking. I have done tapping with skeptics, with people who say, for example, I warn people that EFT relaxes, I mean, seriously relaxes the body, and they may feel even dozing off, sleepy. And they immediately tell me, oh, I can't sleep with pills, with sleeping pills. And you're telling me that this is going to work. Nothing works for me. And I just say, okay, let's try it.
Yeah.
And then I've seen people just, you know, you can see how they start their shoulders become more relaxed. Their sort of chin drops off, the legs open up, and the whole demeanor just changes. And we're just doing the chatting and tapping. I'm doing it very interactively. And especially when I'm doing the matrix live with someone, with a client, and I'm holding their hand and doing the tapping, and I can feel how their, you know, their arm is dropping off and they're sort of drifting in and out of sleep. And I'm keeping poking them to help their echoes.
Because
So,
again, another myth I hear a lot is, oh, it's a placebo. Well, no, because the amount of my clients who come to me who have no idea where we're going and don't believe it, and they're very, I love skeptical clients. I love them.
so do I.
And that shows me it's not a placebo. And the other day I was on Facebook listening, and somebody said, "Oh, it's just a pattern interrupt." Yes, you can use it as an EFT as a pattern interrupt, but it's not. These
Oh,
myths that
it's so
are
much more than, it's so much more. Uh, well, what I really love is that the English language community have developed a lot of scientific research. And I know that there are many people who are in spirituality and they call EFT a spiritual technique. I am very far from it. On the contrary, I try to keep it down to the ground, down to earth, because of this scientific support and because of this abundance of scientific research of very high quality that shows the effectiveness in variety of for a variety of problems. And the amazing thing is that the results are kept over time. Something which I love Peter Stapleton, Dr. Peter Stapleton. I know that the community knows her and her work. And she's been posting one of these infograms showing the effectiveness of EFT tapping versus compared at the same time to the gold standard, the cognitive behavior therapy for food cravings. And because it's a study, a research that is over a period of time, it shows that during the study, during the research, the RCT, randomized RCT, I can't remember at the moment the full name, the effect go practically together from both EFT and the cognitive behavior, CBT. But over time, the cravings come back for the people who had
the
CBT.
EMDR, yeah.
And this is not the same with EFT. So there are now a plethora of so much research, and it is public knowledge. And I take every opportunity to explain this to people, because at the beginning it was, oh, just try it and you will see that it works. And I see that particularly for the skeptics, for the corporate, for the people like me, because I am one of them. I need to know why the things work. I need to delve slightly into, to go deeper, and to be able to explain that to my students, why this worked, or particularly when I'm teaching, I explain exactly why I did the thing that I did, and how this will affect the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And so
it's not
moving on,
placebo.
yeah, moving on from the logical to, do you have a story from a student or a client or yourself about a transformative?
I have many stories.
Just one.
Um, well, this is one of my students, and I see it mainly with students who persevere or who make EFT part of their life. And it is visible in the way the person look. So many times I've seen it, how people change visually. So I had a student in the past, I admit, I was so passionate about Matrix that I pestered Carl to allow me to teach it in 2012. And because I was such a nuisance, I admit. And he said, oh, okay, teach it, but only for, self-help. And one of my students at the time who did this self-help, she's, by the way, from the corporate. And when she came, she was, this very shy woman who would keep her eyes down, who wouldn't make an eye contact. She would sit very, sort of not engaging with the rest of the group, and, answer single words, yes, no. In general, she really was very shy, very I don't know how to explain, but you see someone who wouldn't engage with the rest of the people. And
Introvert.
a few years later, just a few years later, so she studied EFT on a certification course. She did the Matrix on a certification course, which is a deep dive. It's a serious, when it is in a foreign language, it is 4 days, not 2 days like in Britain. So people, you're missing out big. 4 days, it's total transformation. And now she's done her work, and now she, for actually many years, she's been doing her own courses. She's been having her own followers. She's been doing Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives. So she's not just that, but she felt drawn to family constellations. And actually, Matrix Reimprinting is sort of a mental family constellation.
Yeah.
So she graduated. That's a long, long study. And she's now working with a very big, she's the right hand of a very big family constellation trainer here in Bulgaria. And she's, all that charisma that she had, but she was dulling the shine that she held in her. And I had probably the first time I noticed the transformation of my students was I was teaching EFT and Matrix in Bulgaria. I invited actually Carl 3 times in Bulgaria between 2014 and 2016. And I never did level 3, EFT level 3. As you know, people rarely go to level 3, and Carl has very few of these. But when the people came, this is before I had to move to live in Britain. But when they came, I could see that they had developed themselves using EFT. They had this change that is visible you can see it with just with your own eye. Don't have to do any scientific study. You could see it in the way people spoke, in the way they behaved, and very often during these long conversation, long trainings of Matrix, the feedback from the family members is, Mom, I don't know what you're doing, but you're lovely. Just keep doing it. Or I've heard from many clients coming with this feedback saying, for example, there was a woman who suffered from depression, but her depression was with angry outbursts. When it means angry, she was throwing cutlery, crockery. She was at her spouse. It was mad. It was mad. And she came. She was coming to me in Sofia, in Bulgaria, from a different part of Bulgaria, and she did several. Just after the second one, her husband was saying to her, "Darling, you have changed. I see that there is a change in you." And he's speaking to her with a different look in his eye. So you see, there,
It,
there are many.
yeah, so
No,
many people, we all talk about that we're all connected energetically, but once we start doing the inner work in ourselves, it's amazing the stories that I hear of. Oh, that sister who never spoke to me for 5 years just picked up the phone and spoke, or my uh, my grandmother, I haven't seen her. There's just so many beautiful stories, isn't it? It's just like a ripple effect.
Do you want me to share a little stories about how the financial situation changes after my money classes?
I would love to, and I'd love to hear when your next money class is, and I'll be on that if it's.
I would love you to be there. Uh, so I do these in Bulgarian. I did it live here in while I was still living here, and then I moved them online. But people would come back and say, uh, uh, "I had received some." Okay, I had a client. We were supposed to do some project together, and I named my price. And at the time, I was really crazy, in a different mood, and I just didn't want to be bothered. So I said I named some crazy price that I was absolutely certain that they will reject. And I never thought, twice afterwards, when they didn't call for a month, she says, I thought that they gave up. And nothing will come up. I completely forgot about them. And then I received this call from them saying, we liked you so much, and we've been looking for a way that this, so that we can pay you what you deserve. And, when she saw me, she was, beaming from ear to ear, saying, "You wouldn't believe what happened." Or other people have been saying, for example, if they have two businesses, some EFT business and some day job that's paying the bills. Uh, because I have such clients, and they now have steady clients with EFT. Even the other business took off, and they earned more money, so that they could afford themselves go to a vacation, and felt really rewarded.
Yeah,
They even opened an office,
yeah,
a
yeah.
surgery, so to speak. And I can see them developing themselves and promoting themselves. you know, having this eagerness to share the word about the magic EFT and Matrix does.
Yeah.
Because it's, you probably noticed me, you won't be able to stop me talking about it.
Oh, Irena's in Edinburgh. Please go and find her. Physically in Edinburgh, she does lots of online, and in Bulgaria. And just to finish up, how would you describe Matrix in one sentence?
Oh, in one sentence, well, probably uh, you can you can use your subconscious on your side by using the magic of EFT into a mindfulness state, into a meditative state that Matrix offers, and you will find gems, diamonds, where you thought the pain was.
Oh, how beautiful. Thank you, Irena. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
And
thank you, Penny.
I hope to come to Bulgaria soon.
Oh, I would love to have you here, Penny. It would be lovely to have your very compassionate energy. I've been on your trainings, and what I love, I had a breakthrough myself. Recently, I attended your course, and I had this breakthrough after all the work that I've done with Matrix and, you know, delving into the subconscious and into my family stories. And yet, I was stunned. I think I told you, didn't I? So it would be great.
Thank you.